Hello there, this is D. It is 12:54 a.m. And it's one of those nights. How you doing? I realize some of you will be listening to this also in the middle of the night when perhaps the sleep evades you like it is for me tonight. I still have these nights. I was chatting with somebody on our site at Uneven about a week ago or something, and they were mentioning some of the podcasts that I recorded on those sleepless nights, and that they were, I think, appreciative of them, and I am too. I got two choices at a point like this. For me, at least. Maybe you only have one, but I have two choices here. And that is, I can lay here and obsess about not sleeping, about my symptoms that are, part of why I can't sleep, about the future of my life with what I have going on. Or I can try to do something productive. For me, my outlet for that is I can record a podcast episode. And as soon as I decide to do that, I start to feel a tad bit better. I start to feel a little bit better. So welcome to a so far sleepless night, hoping it won't remain a sleepless night. But welcome to Uneven. I'm still breathing a little bit heavier than I was 10 minutes ago because I just got done doing the stairs. I got myself up, I walked down into the basement and back up again. I did that 5 times. And on the 5th trip down there, I grabbed my little digital recorder and came back upstairs and climbed back in bed where I am now. In the guest room again, because I have been making some noise and snoring, so my wife is in the other bedroom sleeping, so I'm not bothering her with this recording. Why was I doing the stairs? Good question. I have some akathisia kicking in, and when I have that, sometimes the best thing for me to do is do some exercise. It's a little late at night to play the drum set, which was one of my go-tos. I actually haven't done that in a long time with my nerve pain and foot pain and stuff, but that was a go-to for a long time. Now sometimes, if it's at night, I just do stairs. I'll walk up and down and up and down and up and down the stairs. I only did 5 times, but usually I do about 10. And it works out some of those, I guess I can visualize them as demons, but the energy that's running through my body. I have 2 symptoms that are feeding to, I don't want to say keeping me up, because it's more than that. It's my mind too, of course, but that are factoring into my insomnia this evening. One of those is the akathisia, which was going on for the past 20-30 minutes or so, and then before that it was some nerve pain, some random nerve pain, just kind of hitting me in spots, and not severe but moderate at times, enough to wake you up a little bit, enough to leave you waiting for the next one to hit, which not a great state to be in if you're trying to sleep. Back's hurting a little bit, the bed's feeling really stiff, and this is a stiffer mattress, but my whole body's just hurting. Body's aching, muscles are achy. I'm not feeling comfortable. It makes it more difficult to rest, and I have my iPad open here and watching some YouTube videos and a little bit of TV, whatever I can find on there, but it's hard to turn the mind off when it starts to do the looping dance, or the rumination rhumba, as you might call it. I have a fondness for alliteration sometimes. I do that occasionally in the titles for the podcasts, and I don't know why, just kind of kicks in sometimes. But it's about 1 o'clock in the morning now, and I can't sleep. The good news for me is that these aren't regular these days anymore. I sleep pretty well, usually about 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours a night, which is still pretty good for me. And about all I need, I think, on a regular basis. I don't need the 8 or 9 that some people do. My wife is one of those people. I usually get by just fine on 7, sometimes 6. But I sleep regularly most nights. I get tired, I go to bed, and I get up a few times, sometimes to use the restroom, as I do, and other things, but I'll go back, and I'll usually go back to sleep, and then I wake up usually around 5-ish in the morning. But the nights when you're just laying here, they're kind of hard because our minds go dark. On our site, we've talked several times about the cortisol rush that hits you in the morning. One of the reasons why when we wake up and we have that negativity, that negative brain, that looping brain, some of that's the cortisol, which they've shown actually does kick in more in the morning. And for most of us, that morning is dark. Although for some of us, I know that schedule's a little different. At night, I think it's partly that. It's also partly just that you're alone with your thoughts. That's a frightening place to be for a lot of us, I realize that. If you're listening to Uneven, which I guess you are if you're hearing me right now, but as you're listening to Uneven, for those of you who are listening to, I don't know how I'm going to preface this. Anyway, what I'm trying to say, since you are listening to this, most likely, you do struggle with the complications of life. You may struggle with anxiety, depression, and you very well might struggle with some complication associated with psychiatric medication. That's usually what brings people to our community. If you haven't checked it out, please come check out our community at uneven.life. That's the URL. uneven.life. Come and check us out. We'd love to see you. And sometimes you just lay here and you stare at the little green LED light in the fire alarm. That's a fire alarm? Smoke detector. That's what I'm thinking of. The little green light in the smoke detector that's up in the ceiling. The rest of the room's relatively dark. There's a little light coming in from the bathroom. I think there's a night light in there that kind of glows, and I see that a little bit. And I have a clock radio next to me that's showing the time, which right now is saying 1:03 a.m. And a little bit of light's kind of sneaking in from around the edges of the blind over the window. And I think that's because it's just got past a full moon out here, and so there's probably a little light out tonight with that full moon. It also sometimes is our neighbors' Christmas lights, because they don't, I think, always turn those off at night, so it's pretty bright on the street sometimes. And that's where I'm at. So where are you at right now? I know so many of you struggle with this. Struggle with the symptoms, the pain, the akathisia, whatever the symptom is, that's your symptom du jour. I know many of you struggle with the anxiety. Many of you struggle with the ruminations and the looping thoughts and the negativity. And of course, many of you struggle with the insomnia. As I was starting to say earlier, mine has significantly improved over the years. Most of the time I sleep okay. But every maybe 2 weeks or so, I have a night or two of sleeplessness. Hard to say when you're laying down here. Sleeplessness. And tonight is one of those nights. Sometimes it's just plain, I just can't sleep. Symptoms aren't really kicking in. Don't have a lot of pain, don't have the akathisia. Sometimes it's just mental. I just can't get my brain to the state, to the, I don't know, into the groove or into the, whatever it is that allows your brain to turn off and go into the sleep states. Tonight there's other factors at play, nerve pain and akathisia and the looping thoughts, but sometimes it's just, sometimes I feel like I have this window to fall asleep. I don't know if any of you are like that. Let me know if you are. But sometimes I have this window to fall asleep when if I don't fall asleep in the first hour or two, then I kind of pass this point of no return for sleeping. And once I pass that point of no return, I'm up the rest of the night. Usually until about 5 or 6 a.m. And then I get sleepy, which makes a lot of sense because that's only an hour or so before I have to get up, which is always fun. And then I'm really drowsy and I can maybe get a half an hour of sleep or something in at that point, or an hour, and then I have to get myself up, and that's the joy of it. There are pauses in here. That's because it's just me laying here thinking what I want to share with you next. Thinking maybe am I going to pause this recorder for a bit and then talk with you again in half an hour or so. Thinking if I turn this off, might I get to sleep? The odds are against me, but it's possible. I could yawn. And I can cough. I can do all those things. Yawning doesn't always mean sleepy for me. Sometimes it does. But these are the times that I think we feel most alone. These are the times when the negative thoughts kick in. These are the times when we wish we could speed the clock up a little bit and just make it morning already. But I don't have quite as much fear. I don't have quite as much negativity right now as I did an hour ago because I'm talking with you. I'm not alone right now. I am not alone right now. I am with you in bed. That sounds a little okay. Maybe I'll rephrase that. But this is not a sexual thing at all. It is It's a companion thing. It's a friend thing. It's just having another person who gets it. A person who, to some degree, understands kind of what you're going through. And maybe some of you are playing this when you're sleepless. Maybe you're next to your spouse or significant other, or maybe you're all alone. Maybe you got earbuds in, maybe you're just turned on your phone, I don't know. But sometimes it's just nice to feel a little less alone. Talking with you does that for me, and I hope listening to me maybe does that for you. I'm going to roll over, give sleep a chance for a few minutes. But I got a feeling I'll be back talking to you again here in a little while. We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. Some of you may recognize that line. It's a famous line from the painter Bob Ross, from his series The Joy of Painting. I never really watched this when I was young, or even got older. My wife did. My wife and my wife's dad both used to watch The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. If you haven't seen it, it's perhaps one of the most peaceful and relaxing TV shows ever produced. I think it was on PBS most of the time, but I currently can catch it on Pluto TV. If you've never been there, it's a free app, Pluto TV, and where you can catch old television programs mostly, but some newer, but comedies, some old movies. They have some commercials in them, but it's entirely free. And sometimes I'll just tune into that on my iPad or computer and let it play in the background a little bit, or watch some old sitcom or something just to take my mind off things. And sometimes I tune in to Bob Ross. Which I had done earlier before I was talking to you the first time, and he was doing a cabin in the woods, and I just turned it back on again a few minutes ago, and he's doing another cabin, but this time in a snowscape, with large pine trees and an icy creek or an icy river flowing in front. Stream, I guess, would be the right word. The imagery is so peaceful. The voice, of course, is incredibly peaceful. And if you're looking for relaxation, relaxation tools, I guess, might be the word for this one. Bob Ross might be one you might want to give a try. As I mentioned, you can find him on Pluto TV. You might also have some videos on YouTube, so you might check it out. Not sure if he's still playing on PBS, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's still some of his shows. He passed away years ago, so no longer making these, but I think we all look for ways to calm ourselves. Boy, I know I do. Especially when we get worked up, especially when we don't know what the rest of the evening will provide for us, of the night, let alone the week, the month, the year, the life. I had some fear earlier, and that's one of the things that probably has triggered my sleeplessness for the night. Fear of when I get the random pain. Is this peripheral neuropathy that's going to kick in due to my benzos, and this is going to keep getting worse. Is it another condition? Is it going to keep getting worse? We keep thinking, is it going to keep getting worse? I know I do that, and I know some of you do too. That's that loop that runs in our heads. It's, when is this going to end? When am I going to be better? When will I be back to normal? When will I feel better? When will this symptom or that symptom be over? When will I have a window, and when will I have the next wave? There's so much unknown in life. Whether you're dealing with medication withdrawal like I am, or you're dealing with severe anxiety or insomnia or depression, or just dealing with complications of life. Maybe a job situation, maybe some family discord, maybe a marriage that's on the rocks, or maybe a child that's having a difficult time and you're trying to manage that. Life is really good at throwing us challenges. Sometimes they even stack one on top of the other, on top of another, on top of another. And the other thing we can do is try to find a way to manage that, to mitigate it, to reduce it, to have maybe a little more positive thoughts than negative, a little less of the ruminations, a little more of the distractions. Mindfulness is good at this. Mindfulness helps to teach us to try to keep our focus on the here and now. Not to worry too much about what may happen, because you don't know what's going to happen, and not to worry too much about what has happened, because it's in the past. Mindfulness is focused on now, on the moment. The moment for me right now is not that bad. It's really not that bad. Most of my negativity is coming from what this means. What does it mean that I can't sleep? Is it the start of another wave? Does it mean I'm going to have more insomnia nights? Is the akathisia back and kicking up? Or is the nerve pain going to be getting stronger and stronger, and this is my new life? What does it mean? I think that's the loop many of us get caught in. Where is this going? Is it going to keep getting worse? And if it does, can I handle it? These are thoughts I have, and I know it's thoughts that many of you have had too. The truth is, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't. And most of the time, worrying about it not only is a waste of time, but actually makes it worse. Our anxiety, our fear of what's going to happen, diminishes our ability to handle what's going to happen, because we've already heightened ourselves. And the same goes for the past. Worrying about what's in the past, what we've done, what we did, how we got here, mistakes we made. As Bob Ross says, those happy accidents. That's putting a positive spin on it. all that's really here is the now. For me, the now is me laying in a comfortable bed, well, a little stiff, but for the most part, comfortable. I worked out some of my akathisia. It's not as bad as it was. It subsided some. Took a couple Advil last time when I got up to move around, and I think that might help the nerve pain a little bit. It's easing a bit. I grabbed my recorder and I having the pleasure of talking with you. So I might not sleep. Is that really so bad? For some of you, I realize that this has been a problem for a while. Maybe multiple days in a row. Maybe limited sleep for weeks or months, and I understand that. It is temporary. We do get our sleep back, but for some of us, this has been going on for a while. But for me, I'm in a pattern that I know this is probably temporary. I'll probably have 1 or 2 nights of reduced sleep or sleeplessness. I surprisingly function pretty well during the day, even when I've had 0 sleep the night before. I seem to function pretty well. So it shouldn't affect my work today, I guess, because it's morning already. And odds are I'll be a little tired, a little more tired tonight. I say tonight because that's the coming tonight. It's weird to say that now when it's, you know what I mean. But it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Maybe, just maybe, my sleeplessness right now is a happy accident. What if I looked at it that way? What if I made use of this time and I, educated myself on something, or I worked on a language a little bit on my phone, with one of those apps on the language apps, or watched some educational videos, or read a book. Or just left the light off and gave sleep another chance. And I think I'll do that now. But just remember that there is more than one way to look at the things that happen to us. Stay in the moment, be here and now, and put a positive spin on it if you can. When I picked up this digital recorder, that was me putting a positive spin on a sleepless night. I'll talk to you soon. It is now 2:14 in the morning, and I am ready to run a marathon again. The akathisia eased for a little while, but then turned off my iPad and my recorder and thought I'd try to sleep a little bit. And sometimes as I start to get sleepy is when my chest just feels like it's full of buzzing, and I can feel, I don't know if you'll get this, but I can feel the energy running through my body. It's like electricity running through it. Not exactly the feeling you want when you're trying to sleep. It's kind of the opposite, actually. And my legs just gotta move and want to go do something, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll get up and I'll do some more stairs, because that's sometimes what I do. left on such a high note the last section I talked to you. Sorry, I had to follow that up with a negative section, but it is a roller coaster. And there are ups and downs, and this is the reality of the situation, and that's what I share with you is the reality of the situation. I guess authenticity is the word du jour. I've used du jour twice now in this podcast. I want you to understand that. That's, it's showing high class. Actually, it's probably showing the opposite. 5 years of French, and all I can remember is du jour. So, it's not much has stuck with me, actually. There's a yawn. It feels good to yawn and a stretch. It feels good to stretch. But it'd feel good to go to sleep too, I think. Kind of wish it would. Or I wish I did. Or I wish I slept or whatever. I was watching a few clips on YouTube there, and I'd finished the Bob Ross painting, so I moved back to that for a little bit, and trying to find things that didn't interest me too much, but a little bit. I found podcasts, especially if I want to nap in the afternoon, have been helpful for me. There are podcasts that I'm somewhat interested in, but not entirely. Like one that I don't mind if I miss parts of it, which are good with those long podcasts that are 2 or 3 hours long. And it's okay if you doze during parts of it and come back up, but I do that sometimes when I try to take a nap in the afternoon or whatever. I think the talking occupies my mind enough to turn it down a little bit so I can drift off. Then, of course, I wake up again to hearing the talking off and on. It's probably not a sound sleep and may not be the best way to sleep, but yeah, do what we can, If it can get you a little bit of sleep, it's a good thing. The joys of being me. I'm sure many of you have said the same thing about yourselves. I think I'm going to get up and move a little bit. I'll be back. I have a lot of theories sometimes. I think all of us do, especially those of us who think a lot. And if you struggle with anxiety, like I do, you may think a lot because that's what we do. I'm not talking conspiracy theories, really, although I think some of those are true and some have been proven to be true, but some of them are also really far-fetched and ridiculous. I'm just talking theories of, what's happening, how life is changing, how society changes, what's causing it, what's happening. And mostly just observations. That's really all it is. I'm not saying I'm anything. I'm just saying when you think a lot, that was a nice break in my voice. I'm laying on my side this time with the microphone about a foot away from my mouth, and I think my vocal cords are a little different when I'm on my side than when I'm on my back, so I've been shifting around because that's the other fun thing, is trying to find a position I'm comfortable in, which is also joyful. But as the world changes, as life around us changes, as society changes, I notice things that change. One of the things I've noticed change, I feel, at least in my opinion, that has changed in our culture, and I'm talking primarily U.S. I don't really know how this is in some of the other countries, but in the U.S. things got a lot more serious, I think. I'm not trying to take a political stance here or anything, although I think politics is part of this. I think change is part of it. I'm not really making judgments on it, although maybe I am. But things seem to get a little more serious, and I've noticed this in so many different things, and maybe I'm totally off base here, but I want to mention it to you because this is what we do at 2:33 in the morning as we think of things to talk about. But here's the thing that I've noticed is that a perfect example is like our movies and our entertainment. It seems like, I don't know if you remember back, but the movie The Martian with Matt Damon in it. I think it was a Golden Globe or something, and this was, 5 years ago, maybe longer, I don't know. Not great at measuring time, but it won Best Comedy. And this is back when I used to watch those award shows, and I don't watch any of those things anymore, but this is back when I would watch those, and it just blew my mind that a movie like that, which in my opinion was a definite drama, an adventure drama, would win Best Comedy. And what does that say about our overall state of mind, I guess? If that's what we call comedy. And I think comedy has become a lot harder. I think we've all seen that. It's become a lot harder to be funny. Comedy's changed. Actually, there's a lot of evidence backing this up. If you look at, I've seen some data over the last, being a researcher now that I do medical research, I like to look into other research sometimes too, and I'm curious, so I like to find out things, but top TV shows have significantly changed from when I was younger, from 10, 20 years ago, when comedies were the top, were typically the 7 or 8 of the top 10 shows, and now maybe 1 of the top 10 shows or 2. I don't remember the actual numbers, but dramas by far are more popular now than comedies on TV. I think comedians are having a little more time with different sensibilities and everything like that to, I think that's pretty obvious to have comedy be more accepted. I think in the movies, as we see them change, I've noticed this too. It's a perfect example might be, and the thing that triggered this would be James Bond, because I was just watching a clip on the best James Bond, somebody reviewing the James Bond movies and who was the best James Bond, and then I was watching some Jason Bourne stuff and other stuff. I was watching some scenes from some action movies and stuff anyway, but I noticed how that progressed from the days of Sean Connery and Roger Moore. For those who know James Bond, I'm an old James Bond fan, where things were lighter, and there was wit, and there was humor, and they didn't take themselves too seriously into the now more Daniel Craig and whatever's next for James Bond, where everything is brooding and dark and serious. And it seems like our movies have moved that way. It seems like television has moved that way. Some music has moved that way. Maybe just the general psyche has moved that way. At least that's what I've seen. If you look at even interior decoration, I think this is even a commentary on our lives. It's like, I never did understand it, but we got away from warm tones, comfortable tones and color, and into whites and grays and blacks sometimes, and stainless steel. And that was, my wife and I just couldn't catch up. I think we were still caught in the days of
warm tones. Our house is still like that. We have wood. We love wood accents, and we have warm tones and splashes of color here, and because that's where our mind is. That's who we are. But I know most of the people I know love white, and love gray and steel and even some black, and I never got on that bandwagon. I just didn't get it. I didn't see it, but I do wonder if it's also tied in with the whole overall attitude. It's more sterile, it's cleaner, it's safer, it's, just that kind of color is, and it's different than being more fun and warm and relaxing and comfortable. Although maybe those colors are comfortable to some people. I'm not really judging them. I'm just saying I couldn't quite adjust on that one. I was having trouble following the fashion trends for design. And we noticed that when we walk into model homes, which we would do sometimes just for fun, and every single one was decked out in those colors. White and gray, pretty much. And I wonder if it's also part of the whole seriousness. It's not as much fun or comfortable or relaxing. It's more sterile and clean and serious. I don't know. Then again, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here and I don't really know what I'm talking about. This is where Dee's mind goes in the middle of the night. I know. I might act like that's dark, but my mind isn't that dark, so I don't have too many really bad things that it goes to. But I do sense that. I don't think that's helping us out much when, for those of us who struggle with psych issues, medication, anxiety, whatever it is you're dealing with, we already got our hands full. We don't need the world around us to be inundating us with, more seriousness, more dark issues, more, I think maybe it might be nice to have a little levity out there that helps to lift us out of this. My wife and I often watch old sitcoms. It's one of our favorite things. We watch old sitcoms from the 70s and 80s, things we grew up with, and I have them on DVD, and we'll rewatch those, and you can catch them on some. We also don't have cable or really any paid media services outside of I think Amazon, because we pay that one for the shipping, so we have Prime, but we don't pay for Netflix or anything like that. We catch some over the air stuff on an antenna, and some of that is still also old reruns of old shows, and I still like those, and I still enjoy them. And even the dramas were lighter. They were just lighter. And I think it's a two-way street here. It's a commentary on how our mindset has become as a society, and maybe the mindset has then influenced our media. And I think it's kind of happened both ways a little bit. And I miss the lighter days. I miss the lighter media. I miss having fun, the escapism. Other stuff we used to watch, my wife and I will still watch it sometimes, and I will still watch it sometimes, and old shows and comedies and stuff, because I got enough seriousness, in my life. I got enough seriousness with my own condition. I got enough seriousness with me just trying to get it through the night, to make it through this night and into the morning, which I know I'll make it through the night. I always do, but things get negative sometimes. And so I'll turn on an old sitcom or an old comedy movie. Things I grew up with, I'm sure It's a generation thing. What I find funny, other people younger than me may not. And I get that. But sometimes those distractions we're seeking, maybe it's good to also add a little positivity and levity and humor in it. Laughter is great medicine. I'm not sure we get enough of that, especially when we're dealing with serious health and mental health conditions like many of us are. My life is already got enough negativity. My mind already creates enough negativity on its own. Do I really need the world around me and society to generate even more? Do I really need to watch movies and TV shows and listen to music that perpetuates that negativity? Or maybe, just maybe, it's okay for me to have a release and have some humor, have some comedy, have some lightness. I don't know. I miss that stuff, and I still watch it. And I even have a server here at the house because I was a screenwriter for years, and so I was a movie geek and collected DVDs and had tons of them. And so I have over 700 DVDs, and then I, over a period of time, ripped those onto a server, and then I have this server software called Plex, and it basically what it does is it provides my own DVD library here online on all the different TVs and devices in the house. So it's kind of nice to have. And so I can just click into that and pull up any movie or old TV show I want to when I want to and watch something. And I do that sometimes to help ease my mind. Who knows, right? Who knows? Well, maybe I'll let you go and maybe I'll chat with you again here in a few minutes. Who knows?
And then the snipe hunt begins. Hello, everybody. It's 3:09 a.m. I am still awake, as you probably can tell, because I don't think I could do this while I was sleeping. I've entered this stage of trying to figure out what I did yesterday to set off my symptoms tonight. And for those of you not familiar with the term, we call it a snipe hunt because snipe hunts were those hunts that we used to take people out as kind of a hazing ritual to hunt for the infamous snipe, which does not exist. And so sometimes, or often, this search winds up the same way. It's a snipe hunt, meaning we're looking for a reason that's just not there. We do snipe hunting too when we look for methods to reduce our symptoms or to make it all go away or to heal faster. And a lot of times there's just not that solution available, so it's a snipe hunt. For me now, I'm just trying to look for why. I was laying here trying to sleep, and felt a little bit of nerve pain kicking in, and not bad, but a little bit. And I got my mind starting to move, like, okay, so what did I do yesterday that's making tonight more difficult to sleep? That it's setting off the random nerve pain and setting off the akathisia and the anxiety and looping thoughts, and I got some of the formication on my face back again, which comes back sometimes, and all that fun stuff, and the inner vibration that I had going on for a little bit. and muscle aches and pains, which I have a little bit. What did I do yesterday how was that different than previous days when I was sleeping fine? And I think through, what did I eat? I had a burrito for dinner with some chips and salsa. I had a grilled cheese for lunch with applesauce and carrots. I had my usual breakfast, which are eggs, and I sometimes add in my own fruit granola salad, which is bananas and blueberries and some granola. I had that for breakfast, and I had my chai, which I go to the grocery store and get my chai. So I can't, and that's typical. So while some of those are carbs and have those in the morning, don't see it there. I've stopped drinking Coke lately, which is caffeine. So I had no Coke today. So that is a change. I would think it's a change for the good, but it's possible the lack of caffeine today. I only had the chai this morning, and maybe reducing the caffeine, some of that sugar down, has changed a little bit. I did have a piece of chocolate after dinner, 1 square of chocolate. But that's not uncommon for me, and I can't believe that's changed. I don't see it in my diet. I didn't take my supplements today. I didn't take my vitamins or I've been taking a nerve supplement too, and which I think is alpha lipoic acid I've been taking. I didn't take either one of those today. I sometimes forget. Or did I? No, I did take those. I did take those today, and that's normal. So as far as what I ingested and drinking, I had mostly water today, which is typical. I drink more water than anything else. So I think I've had enough fluid today. I had got water sitting next to me, and maybe I'll drink a little more here too. And so what about anxiety? Was today stressful? Today was moderately, not any more than other days lately. Can't think of anything that really set me off. Emotionally, I'm not finding it either. I had a kind of a crisis this morning, just in the house. Don't want to go into details, but just tried to get something solved and had to cancel a meeting. Then I got a little stressed this evening trying to catch up on some things and get some work done. Took a nap this afternoon, which I don't typically do. But I did lay down for about 30 minutes and took a short nap. But that felt good. I think the nap was good. Am I fighting something? I do feel more body aches lately and a little bit of drainage, so there are colds going around or something. I don't think I have anything, but that's a possibility. I don't know how many of you see the pattern here that I am referring to. I have a feeling several of you notice this pattern. We're looking for answers. We're looking for reasons, because if we can find that reason, that thing that set this off today, then I can not do that tomorrow and not set it off. We want those reasons. We want those triggers, and we want to find those so we can change. So we can change and prevent, hopefully, this from happening again continuously. But it's rarely that simple. Sometimes I find things that may have set things off, but most of the time, it's just bind. It's just the benzos. It's just the anxiety. It's just life. So if you're doing that snipe hunting or looking for answers, I get it. I get it, because I do it too. Don't know that it's very productive for us, but Every now and then it turns up an answer. Maybe something that's an additional trigger that's setting off your symptoms. But many times we just can't find that pattern. I'm still looking for so many patterns. But quite often I'm just not going to find one. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with that. All right. Back to trying to sleep again. Bye. It is now 6:46 a.m. I finally got a couple hours of sleep. Woke up again to use the restroom, came back in. I had to let Murphy out. He came in and let me know that it was time for him to go outside, which he usually does that time of morning. I have now crawled back in bed and lay here for a few minutes, but I do have to get up and start moving. Like all of this, I hope this is a one-off type of situation, which for me it is more often than not lately. Hopefully tomorrow night I'll get more sleep, and if not, sometimes I take a little medication like the Benadryl type to help with a night of sleep, just to kind of force the issue and get me back into gear, but I try not to take that too often either. But sometimes we just don't sleep well. And that's okay. I think being okay with that is probably the biggest lesson of nights like these, is the acceptance factor, learning to accept where we are and how our bodies are. And what we can do and what we can't do moving forward. Well, the funny thing is, this morning is, in a couple hours, I need to record a podcast. I need to record the next episode of the Uneven podcast live, the one that I do every Thursday morning now, from our community at uneven.life. And I have an idea of what I'm going to talk about, but I didn't expect to be recording this one, so this one may come out after that one, since that one is a scheduled one for Thursdays. This one I might be edit down and get it out this weekend, and I also have another podcast for Benzo Free to get out this weekend, so I need to do a little bit of post work on some content, but it's always good to have that material to release, and I look forward to getting all that out. I thank you for joining me last night, tonight, whatever it is, I guess last night. It made it a little better. It always does. Gives me a purpose and something to focus on as I go through evenings like this. I still have a little bit of the akathisia. It's not really gone away. It's kind of hitting and missing. It's like comes on for 3 or 5 minutes, maybe a little bit, then it subsides for a couple, then it's on for 10 minutes, and then I don't know. It's hard to know. But it's back again for a little bit. I have a feeling once I get up and start showering and moving and doing all that kind of stuff, it'll start to subside. Hopefully. And hopefully tonight it'll be a little bit better. And I'll sleep a little bit longer. But thank you. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the evening. I appreciate it. You helped me get through, and I am grateful for that. If you are listening to this on a night that you are unable to sleep, I hope
you can fall asleep soon. And I hope that in the coming nights you will have much more rest, peaceful dreams, and that your outlook for the next day gets a little bit brighter. Y'all take care. I'll talk to you soon. Good day.
Hey, this is Dee. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out our podcast. I do need to remind everyone that this podcast is for informational purposes only and should never be considered medical, psychological, or professional health advice of any kind. If you or someone you know is dealing with significant mental health issues, please seek professional help. Resources can be found in our show notes and on our website at unevenpodcast.com. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you on the flip side.